This is lesson 4-2B from the Algebra Readiness textbook. For today's lesson, you'll need a sharpened pencil and your notes packet. Today's learning target is to simplify expressions involving exponents. We're going back to order of operations. Now, up until this point, with our order of operations, we've always skipped the ones that, we've never had any that have had exponents in them, and that was very intentional. But today, we're going to be able to use all of the steps in the order of operations. Remember to start with your grouping symbols first. Your grouping symbols include parentheses, brackets, absolute value signs, a fraction bar. I think that about covers the ones we've learned so far. Then you make sure that when you're working in the grouping symbols that you follow the order of operations within the grouping symbol. Number 2, simplify any terms with exponents. Then you multiply or divide in order from left to right, and then add or subtract in order from left to right. Make sure you write this down. I think it might already be in your notes, but this is very important. When substituting a negative number, always put it in parentheses. That is because in the math world, we need to have a way so that everybody who solves a problem will end up getting the same answer. If we just agree as a collective group of math people that we'll always substitute in with parentheses, we'll always come to the same answer. Look at the first one, simplify. My order of operations are grouping, exponents, multiply or divide from left to right, add or subtract from left to right. So, using my grouping symbol, I need to simplify this first. 3 7/10 plus 2. Remember to line up the decimal point, and you get 5 7/10. Okay? The next thing that you need to do, I've done my grouping, now my exponent. Do not take 4 times 5.7 first. That's a big mistake. You need to take 5 7/10 times 5 7/10. And remember, when you multiply decimals, you multiply like the decimals don't even exist. I'm happy to be done with the first number, so I put a 0 down. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 5 is 25. 28. Then I add, and I get 4 times, then I place the decimal point. 5 7/10 times 5 7/10 has 2 digits after the decimal point, 32 49/100. So now the next step is to multiply. So 32 49/100 times 4. 9 times 4 is 36. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And 4 times 3 is 12. 129 96/100. Now, you might recall that when we do the order of operations, we always write down what justifies each step. In the first part, that was the problem given to us. So how did we get to the next step? Well, we simplified parentheses. The next step, we did the exponent, and the next step was to multiply. We're going to always show our steps by describing our steps when we're solving these problems. The next one asks us to substitute. -2x, now I have to put -2 in for x. Let's try this again. -2, and then in parentheses, -2 to the third, plus 4, and then I put 3 in for y. So this is what's given to me. Going back up to the top where we wrote our order of operations, first we need to simplify any grouping symbols. I don't have anything that's grouping here. Those parentheses are indicating multiplication or exponents. My next step is to simplify exponents. Whoops. And so that would be -2 to the third. Many people want to take -2 times -2 first and then raise it to the third power. Don't get caught into that trap. Right here, this is your next step. -2 times -2 times -2 is a -8. And I got that by simplifying my exponent. My next step, -2 times, or my next step after that is to multiply or divide from left to right. In this case, I'm going to multiply this and this. -2 times -8 is a positive 16. 4 times 3 is a positive 12. Multiplication. I'm done with that step. The next step is to add or subtract. 16 plus 12 is 28. How did I get there? I added. This row justifying every step will always be in the order of operations. All right, pause the video and try these two. Come on back to compare your work to mine. All right, the first step is to solve any grouping symbols. I don't have any of those. The next step is to solve exponents. 2 times 5 squared is 25, not 10. 5 times 5. -3 to the third power is 3 times 3. -3 times -3 is positive 9. Positive 9 times -3 is -27. And I simplified my exponents. The next step is to multiply or divide in the order it occurs in the problem. From left to right, I have this and this. 25 times 2 is 50. 27 times 4 is -108. When I have a, then I multiplied. Let's write that in there. If I have a positive and a negative being added together, I learned that I subtract the two numbers and give it the sign of the bigger number, or the bigger absolute value. So -58, and I added. The next one, 3, and then you substituted in -5 to the second plus 6. -5 to the second power is my first step. -5 times -5 is a positive 25. I got there by simplifying my exponent first. Then 3 times 25 is 75. So I simplified my multiplication part. Lastly, I need to add, and I get 81. All right, we've got a couple more problems here. Pause the video. I want you to do these 3. Then come on back to compare your answers to mine. All right, the first one. 5 to the 0 power plus 75 hundredths to the first power. Well, we need to simplify the exponents first. 5 to the first power is 1, and 75 hundredths to the first power is 75 hundredths. Then I need to just go to the adding step, and I get 1 and 75 hundredths. The next one, 3 times 1 plus 4 in parentheses to the third power. I need to simplify my grouping first. 3 times 5 to the third, parentheses. Then I need to simplify my exponent. Make sure you take 5 to the third before you take 5 times 3. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. Then 3 times 125. If you need to do a side problem, go ahead and do so. So 375 multiplication. Okay, the next problem. Evaluate 7 times w plus 3 to the third power plus z for these. 7, and then negative 5 plus 3 to the third power plus 6. All right, so this is given. I substituted the numbers in. Now I need to simplify what's in parentheses. This set of parentheses is grouping. Negative 5 plus 3. I subtract and give the sign of the larger absolute value, so negative 2 to the third power plus 6. Then I need to simplify my exponent. Negative 2 times 3. No. Negative 2 to the third power, which is a negative 8. Then I multiply. 7 times 8 is negative 8 is a negative 56. Then I add, and I get negative 50. Okay? All right. Give your homework